Welcome to our series, Driving Public Sector Innovation, where we look at how public sector agencies are unleashing AI-powered database solutions to drive innovation, improve agency operations, and deliver effective services more securely. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to talk about that is Alan Hill, a Chief Information Officer at the Federal Communications Commission. Alan, thank you so much for joining us. And let's set the stage a little. How are advances in AI and database technologies in particular, as well as cloud computing, making a difference in enhancing your organization's operations or services?
Wyatt, first, thank you for having me. Appreciate the FedScoop's invitation to participate in this series. We're in the early part of adoption, and so I want to kind of talk about where we're at right now in our journey. As you know, we're moving out of our data center. We got most of our systems moved. And so looking at it from a traditional data center perspective, you have to deal with like the hardware maintenance, manual scaling, the overhead of keeping all these systems up to date. And moving to a cloud, you now not only, it used to be infrastructure and platform as a services, but now you have serverless environment. You're able to automatically manage infrastructure, allowing developers to focus on code without worrying about the service maintenance and things like that. Elastic scaling, you're able to reduce your overhead because that infrastructure that you were concerned with, the hardware and all the manual scaling, is now being done by the provider. That's important because we're now allowed to focus on the important things, application development and the deployment of those mission citizen services that are there. The traditional data center, you had this monolithic application development, the manual code and slow development. It take, years to get something out, updates and things like that. Now you have the ability to do modular applications. You're really, leveraging microservices. Applications are built in a collection of loosely coupled, independently deployed services. Extremely important. You're able to do continuous integration and continuous deployment. So important. And that's important for not only the customers that we service at the agency, but the agencies and the aspect of the customer services they're providing to the civilians and the industry that we support. Data management, traditional data centers where you have rigid databases, limited integration. That doesn't work in today's capabilities. There's a security risk, but there's more importantly a lack of agility to be able to scale quickly to new demands. And so, in a cloud service provider environment, we're able to do and scale much quicker. And so, our objective is to leverage the native technologies that are in the cloud provider, so we can do seamless integration. The customers don't see those type of impact things from a traditional data center where you have maintenance down and things like that. You can have it all the time available. There's higher up in cost with the traditional data center. We spend an enormous amount of time just maintaining that infrastructure. The cloud service providers, they have everything available. If I move from one data center to another data center in the cloud, it's seamless. It's within minutes and stuff. Vice something that would take us days to move in a traditional data center. And we move out of that CapEx approach, which is limited to what budget cycles occur, to an OpEx approach that allows us to have the modernization is constantly occurring. That's so important. We can't keep up our legacy data center the way cloud providers do. Industry, from a security compliant, industry coming in is starting to have an understanding of the challenge we have to go through in keeping systems up, right? The FedRAMP environment, ATO type things. So industry those who've gone through the FedRAMP process now understand what the agency have to do, but they do it once and it multiplies the agency to agency. We have to repeat it constantly on an individual basis in a data center. And so by leveraging whether we're sponsoring it or whether it's being sponsored by another agency, we inherit those security capabilities that's been done for the multitude of agencies, vice individual agencies itself. So security, disaster recovery, business continuity, That's built in. We go from the traditional code and warm backup type capabilities to really available all the time. Telecommunications, the manual failover capabilities in a data center, we have that available all the time. They take care of those things. And so we have automated disaster recoveries. We have high availability just based on how leveraging cloud technologies.
Well, when you think of your organization and how your department supports it, can you talk about a challenge that the FCC is facing or has been facing, where these new technologies are really offering net new capabilities or solutions?
Well, new technologies, they're constantly wrapping up. AI is an example. It's a recent example. There's no shortage of newer and emergent technologies that help agencies enhance IT services capabilities. Top of mind, I look at it, it takes tremendous amount of time and effort just from a security perspective, a new technology. So if there's a system or technology that we're going to implement that is not FedRAMP, there's a high level bar that we have to go through. 853 Rev 5 as an example, all the controls you have to put in place. That's time consuming. When we leverage something that is already FedRAMP, we're now reducing that level of work. We've taken basically a year of work and eliminated it. And that's important. And so that helps us to adopt things much quicker. And so when we use FedRAMP environments, that helps us where those SSPs that we have to have from the vendor provide us, the security system plan, the third-party assessment, that's already been done for us. And so that ability to leverage those things helps us eliminate a huge stack, not just from validating the system as secure, but also from a compliance perspective. We have our FISMA audits and things like that. So that's a benefit to all of government.
And then can you talk about maybe how some of these powerful database technologies and analytics, how that improves your organization's operations? What kind of benefits are FCC employees starting to realize because of them?
So first thing is smarter spend. It's also eliminating the outdated technology. So, for example, using modern data warehousing, analytic platforms, the infrastructure, all those type of things, we get immediately scalability and flexibility. In the case of like COVID, that was a catalyst of modernizing our systems and the importance of how the cloud provider came to us. If you're a data center and you had traditional ways of working and you have to shift to remote work and making sure the application available, that was a hard shift. And so agencies learn from that. My time at GSA, I got to experience supporting customers and federal agencies who had a challenge and helping them move to a much more scalability, flexibility perspective. So we have elastic cloud compute and storage now available to us. We have on-demand resources. So FCC can dynamically allocate resources based on current needs, reducing our costs and improving efficiencies. We have much more improved data integration and management, being able to use unified data platforms, simplify our process, eliminate the traditional ETL process and being able to use more agile capabilities, and where we have data warehouse, data platforms, microservices availability. Enhance analytics. We're able to get real-time analytics. We had a situation where about 6, 7, 8 months ago, we're able to scale to a solution in a week and provide that capability in 1 week's time frame and be able to get the kind of analytics that's needed. That's difficult to do in a data center. And the fact that we were able to turn on the capability in 1 week, have it have that availability of that solution to a customer to be able to do what they needed to do and to do those kind of analytics, that was huge. And it helped meet the commissioner's need. Cost efficiency, getting to a pay as you go. There's a tremendous amount of CapEx dollars that had to goes into a data center. Being able to move to the OpEx approach and eliminate those investments, that's important. Again, the security compliance requirements, we have securities built in the cloud. We're able to automate the compliance perspective. vice manual process that we've used in the past. And it improves our decision-making capability. Timely, accurate data, we're able to respond much faster.
And then thinking through the lens of supporting the FCC's constituents, your customers, as it were, can you point to any examples where these new database capabilities are making your service fulfillment and your mission, more satisfying for your end users?
Certainly. So we certainly have much more responsiveness. Our system performance are improving as we get out of the data center to the cloud. We're still in a transition period, but there's a number of front-end citizen services now that are in the cloud that is much more responsive than traditional. So those problem tickets that we would have in the past have dissipated because we're living cloud technology. Those services now sitting in the cloud, and so when a person submits a request or provides a comment, or whatever, the systems, one, they're secure, but two, more importantly, they're responsive to the customer's need. And in fact, I received the kudos today from a customer saying, "Hey, this is great what you've done. It makes things easier for us." It also, from the ability for data integration and management is so important to make sure we have control over everything. It's in a traditional database approach, a traditional infrastructure approach. It's monolithic. It's very difficult to manage. It's hard to pinpoint problems. When you go to that cloud capabilities where they're serverless, you're focused on a smaller responsibility. The technology is responsive in the cloud. It's meeting the demand and able to expand and contract. But we're focused on a much more smaller concern, and that has to do with our environment of the applications. Moving that to codeless now, as we begin to eliminate traditional code and move into codeless and move into serverless, that even reduces the delay in responses, but also the ability to deliver new services.
Interesting. And then lastly, Alan, where else is modern database technologies helping to make improvements like improving security or speeding up agile development or even being more resilient overall across your organization?
So love the question. I'm an old database guy. So in my days of doing things, and now the way things are now, you're reducing complexity. You're eliminating the concern about the physical. You have a problem in a data center, and it's because the firmware hasn't been updated on the hardware. You eliminate that. You have replication issues or something happened on a network. You're eliminating those things because of how the cloud providers have provisioned it. There's a cost savings. Part of it's directly and part of it's indirectly. I don't have resources, and so I don't spend time worrying about that hardware stack or that infrastructure within a data center. So I don't spend time there. I can focus more my team on delivering the services that are immediately facing to the customers. And so it's important to leverage cloud capabilities that you have scalable storage and compute. It's important to that. The integration of data management, cloud native solutions provide integrated data management capabilities. It helps ensure that we have accessibility at all times, and eliminates the need for duplicate data sets, which is it's important because now we're reducing our infrastructure. The more infrastructure, the more of a security print that I got to protect. If I can reduce my infrastructure and reduce the duplication, I have a smaller infrastructure to be concerned with, much more easier to keep secure. Modulating applications with microservices and APIs, that's very important. Getting out of traditional development, breaking things down from the monolithic application approach to smaller independent microservices, very important. That's going to help us. And we, from API, we're able to do traditional SQL type, or I shouldn't say SQL, replication database type approaches is elongated. You want an API approach that gives instantaneous access to where the data sits. Security is much more enhanced. The security is built in. The compliance is built in. We're in FedRAMP compliant cloud providers. That's important, and that reduces my security team to focus on looking at, are there any bad guys trying to get in? device, is the service secure? And that's important. There's efficiencies with codeless and serverless solutions. We in traditional data center in our discovery, we had a lot of code that was obsolete, that wasn't even being used. In a codeless environment, we don't have to worry about that anymore. We're not worried about all this legacy code. And so you're going through stored procedures, trying to figure out the business logic, make sure those things that you have the information right. You're now able to go to codeless environment. It's a lot easier to see the business logic and a lot easier to map out new capabilities, new solutions with that. And really, streamlining our data management aspect is important. Collapsing the number of databases we have and really making sure we have a unified data platform that allows us to do real-time analytics. It gives us that increased agility, enhanced security, operational efficiency, and improved data management.
Well, it certainly sounds like a tremendous array of benefits. Alan Hill, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to walk us through that, to help us kind of see how the FCC is benefiting both internally and externally for its customers, and also improving its efficiencies and cost management and security all along the way. So thank you very, very much for sharing your insights with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.